Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to part 2 of the, whatever this name is, collab that I can't really pronounce properly, but anyways, Atelier Riser collab part 2. So this is the final part of this collab, and we have a new unit. That's going to be the main focus of the stream today, is the part 2 unit and everything they've added in this update today. Obviously, as it's part 2, there's usually not as much compared to part 1, we know this. But I have been looking forward to this part 2, and I was hoping that this unit will be some kind of interesting support unit. And we'll go into her kit and the arc and everything very soon. But first of all, let's have a look at the news and everything, just so we're all aware of everything that they've added in the update today. So I spent some time before the stream started trying to mess around with the sounds, just because I want to try and make my voice a bit louder compared to the game sounds, so I've been messing around with that a little bit today, so hopefully that should at least be better in some way. Getting her from the free 10 ball ticket is great. Well, I haven't done any pulls yet. I still haven't gotten anything from part 1, it kind of sucks, but we'll do some sums later on today and hopefully we can get something for once. But let's have a look at the news first of all, just because I want to make sure everyone's aware of what they've added in the updates for part 2 today, and then in 2 weeks from now is going to be the next unit. We have no idea what it's going to be. I would assume that it's probably going to be more of a chill period in between this collab and Christmas. There probably isn't going to be too much going on, but you never know. They could always release something interesting, so we're going to have to wait and see on that one. I am quite excited about Christmas this year. I'm not going to spoil exactly what it is, but just make sure that you're saving for that, because that's going to be a great one, I can already tell. So they've postponed the World Raid for the moment, because there was an issue with that, so that's annoying, but it's fine. That's going to be on later, so it's not going to be on today. Let's just have a quick look at the maintenance notice. Isn't going to be too much here, but just want to make sure I cover it anyways. So we got Cloudia and the overnight campout arc. Honestly, I will have a look at these in a moment, but I do like the look of this arc. This sounds quite interesting to me. But we'll have a look at both of these very soon in a moment, in just a couple minutes. But they do look quite interesting, and I do also want to cover like about this entire collab as a whole, pretty much towards the end, so the conclusion will be a bit longer. Because I want to like compare the units and what I think's better and everything like that, because it's usually a good idea once part 2, the final part of the collab, is released. World Raid, yeah, that's going to be soon. Training field is today. Cal tries hard, has 5 more floors, so make sure to do that, because it does give some crystals, so it's always a good idea to do this if you haven't yet. It's quite easy. All you need is just some element units and some damage dealer and a support, and you're kind of good to go, really. Like Archfiend melee is all you really need for elements, and just stun everything, you're fine. So it is a good idea to do this for crystals, and just as much content as possible for the crystals. This is what I've been trying to do, just grind as many crystals as I can. Promo updates for Arena, that's in a couple days. Shop updates, last kind of reward updates, improvements, bug fixes, yeah, not too much. And then we'll go over to the collab itself for part 2. Yeah, so this is the entire collab itself. Obviously we've got the part 2 login, bonuses now, so you can get some part 2 tickets, which is quite nice. If you want to maximize saving crystals, basically, then the smartest thing to do is to wait until the 9th login bonus, because that's your final ticket, and then if you still don't get anything from that ticket, then you can decide if you want to spend any crystals on this banner or not. So that's what I would recommend, and obviously I'm not going to be doing that, because that would be a very long wait, and I don't have enough patience for that, and also I've got to do summers just for content. But if I were a free-to-play player, I would definitely recommend to wait for that final day to get those tickets. Training promos, obviously the Gacha Part 2, have a look at that. And you can get these Part 2 packs now as well. And that's pretty much everything, so there isn't too much that they've added this update, which was expected really, because Part 2 usually is just a much smaller update. But there are going to be some events and stuff going on, like the World Raid is always fun. I like doing that. So that's going to be soon. Hopefully it doesn't get postponed for too long. And if you log in today, go to your present box, and you'll have some more tickets from the promo rewards. So make sure to get these. All you got to do is log in, go to your present box, and you'll get 3 more tickets for each banner. So that's very nice. Haven't used them yet. I'm going to use those a bit later on. And obviously you got arena ranking rewards and stuff like that. Login bonus, you get 1 more ticket. So very nice. Now let's go over to the main focus of the stream, which is going to be looking at everything that they've added in part 2 in regards to the unit and the arc. So we've got Cloudia and an overnight campout arc. They do look quite interesting, and Logzaeus' banner is still up for another week, so now is probably a good time to decide on which banner you want to pull on, because you've got a week left for Logzaeus, and then you've got 2 weeks left for the collab itself. So I'll definitely talk about which banners are best towards the end in depth, but I'll say just quickly right now that I still think Shift Logzaeus is most important if you want to care about meta. If you care about meta the most, then Shift Logzaeus is going to be the most important unit out of all of these, I think. But as this is a collab, it does have value. It's just nothing stupidly meta or anything that we've got in this collab so far. So now let's have a look at part 2. So part 2 has Cloudia. We'll start with her first of all. Some people have been hoping that she would be quite an interesting support unit, and it looks like they made her a hybrid damage dealer slash support, and we'll see how it goes. But I'm not super impressed with this unit so far, but maybe looking at this kit will change my mind, I'm not sure. Let's have a look first of all. She's a sorcerer type unit. That never means it's a mage unit. She is a physical damage dealer. High intelligence, strength, defense, mine's pretty good, so not much to say about that. Actual resistance is plus 30 dark to dark. Looks okay. And resistance to stun. I don't know why she doesn't have any curse resistance, considering she is a physical damage dealer. It would have been nice to have some curse resistance as well, but having nil to silence is quite nice for a unit that does have some magic support spells, so I suppose that's good. She is weak to illness, which could be a problem. She can heal as well. So I have made some notes in regards to this unit, like her damage caps and hit counts and stuff, which we'll have a look at in a moment. First of all, have a look at her skills. So her skills, let's start with her skill 1, and all of these skills and her special do scale off of strength and intelligence, so both of these stats will be, helpful to increasing the damage on this unit. Is she a DPS? Well, yeah, she's a hybrid damage dealer slash support, but I feel like she's going to play more of a support unit, because her as a main damage dealer, at least in PvE content, isn't going to be very good compared to the best damage dealers that we have in the game currently. So unless there is a way that she could be good, and that is in PvP, there is a small chance that she could hit pretty hard in PvP, but we don't know because that requires testing and for people to fully build her and stuff first. So we can't really say if she's going to be good in PvP yet, but in PvE, no one's really that impressed with her PvE performance so far. But as a support, maybe that will be slightly better. So her skill 1, medium area long range ice combo attack around the target. So she is another long range damage dealer, which is nice to see. I do like long range damage dealers, they're always pretty nice. This one is 8 hits for her skill 1, which sounds pretty good, and it is pretty fast for a skill 1, that is. You can spam it decently, but it's just a skill 1. I don't think her skill 1 is going to be anything crazy. I think it's good, but it's not going to be anything crazy, because at the end of the day it's just a skill 1, and there's not really much else to say about that, but I do like her skill 1, it looks nice. And then we start going a bit downhill. We start off very good. This skill 1 is pretty decent, but skill 2, I don't like this skill 2, and not because of the effect. The effect's very good, but just the animation and how slow it is just kind of sucks to me. And I did try this out earlier, and I'm just not a fan of this. And I think her skill 1 is actually going to be faster than the skill 2. Like, that's how bad her skill 2 is going to be. So this is a medium area long range ice combo attack around the target, and there is also a chance to give a defense and or mind minus 50% debuff. Now, the biggest thing about this skill is, of course, the debuff. So a chance to inflict a defense or mind debuff, or both, on a skill is very nice to have for sure, but the biggest downside of this skill 2 is the fact that it's so damn slow, you can't even spam it. So you'll see this later on if you haven't seen the animations yet, but I just don't like this animation. It just looked kind of boring and very slow. So this DPS will be so bad, and you're just going to be using this for the chance of inflicting the debuff. And yes, even though it is a chance, we don't know the exact chance what it is, but we will have a look at what that chance kind of is later on, and hopefully it's a decent enough chance. There is one upside to this though, is when I tried her in the unit test play quest by myself, this debuff lasts quite a long time, and I believe it's 40 seconds. So that's basically equivalent of you casting an EX Drain debuff, or the equivalent for Mind as well. So I think it's pretty good. As soon as that debuff is inflicted, you don't really need to use her skill 2 again until it runs out, and it's going to last about 40 seconds. So it's not like some other units that have had a debuff like this and it only lasts like 10 seconds, right? This one is, you know, the duration of this debuff is quite long, so I do like that part of this skill. But this one is 14 hits, by the way. It's very slow. You're never going to be using it just for DPS. You're just going to be using it for the debuff, I think, and that's it, because you'll see later on, but it's just not a great skill because it's just way too damn slow. Now let's move on to a skill 3. This one looks quite a bit better. This is a wide area long range combo ice combo attack around the target, and there's a chance to give a damage dealt minus 30% debuff. Again, a chance to inflict a debuff. Having debuffs on your skills is always a positive, I have to say, because that doesn't mean your skills are just very basic and they do damage, right? Because having a chance to inflict a debuff is always going to be a good thing in my book. This one is 22 hits. Honestly, it looks okay, but none of these animations look that crazy. They're not going to be anything super fast, right? So don't expect any super high DPS on any of these skills, because you'll be disappointed for sure, because they're not going to be very fast. Honey Elixir on this unit definitely going to work, because she can be a support healer, so I think she could be a good SET battery unit, but we'll talk about that once we have a better understanding of her entire kit, because so far we're just going over her skills. But having a chance to give a damage dealt minus 30% debuff is quite good. But there is one very important thing, is this will be the same icon as what Spirit Maiden Sarah's debuff icon is, because it's exactly the same type of debuff. So if you have Spirit Maiden Sarah in the same team, it won't stack with her debuff. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And then the special on this unit, I think this one's nice. Powerful ice combo attack to one enemy, and then it's guaranteed, it's not a chance this time, to give a strength, defense, intelligence, and mind minus 50% debuff. So I do think this could be nice. And honestly, if this lasts 40 seconds, this is probably the best way in the game currently to inflict a minus 50% debuff for all of those stats right now. Obviously in the future that would change, because we'll have like those 50% debuffs on future units and arcs, maybe potentially in the future. That's definitely going to happen. And we have EX Drain on a couple units already in the game, just not that many other debuffs yet. So Cloudia is one of the best ways to inflict these minus 50% stat debuffs currently. It is only a single target special, and obviously you got to use a special to inflict that debuff, so yeah, it's nothing crazy, and obviously it's only for PvE content, but the minus 50% stat debuffs can be quite useful, and minus 50% strength intelligence against bosses, that debuff could, allow your team to survive, and that could be quite nice. So I do consider that special to have some, it's going to be quite useful in some cases, I suppose. So this one's 53 hits, kind of average on hit counts. It's not going to be doing too much for a special, but it is nice to have a skill 2, skill 3, and a special that has a chance to inflict debuffs. So I do like the debuffs. I'm just not a big fan of the animations of the skills in general. So now let's have a look at her traits next. So her traits, let's start trait 1. We'll talk about that later. So trait 1, ice damage 40%, damage cap 20,000, and damage cap 30,000 to enemies weak to ice. So she's getting 40% ice damage all the time, and 20,000 ice damage cap all the time, and then 30,000 extra damage cap to enemies that are weak to ice. And then if this unit is only equipped with one weapon, then increase ice damage cap by 60,000. So here's the thing, is yes, it's saying that they want you to single wield this unit, but once we go over the rest of the kit, you'll realize that there isn't actually that many single wield focus skills in this unit's kit compared to other units, like the Part 1 unit, Riser. She was definitely focused single wield because she had, like, you know, all those single wield focus skills in her kit. But Claudia can technically dual wields, and I did do the calculations yesterday, and it turns out when you single wield, you can get around 220,000 damage cap in total, and then when you dual wield, you can get about 116.5 thousand damage cap. And now you may think, well, what's the point of dual wielding? Because you're going to have a lot less damage cap. Well, of course, you've got the benefit of having double hits, and you can also increase the damage cap even further. And because you've got double hits, you can use things like Icy Guardian, and you'll have even more Icy Guardian procs and things like that. So there is a benefit to dual wielding this unit, even though this trait says you want to try and single wield. You don't have to single wield, so it's an interesting thing. When using a skill, there's a chance to give the target a magic damage dealt minus 35% debuff. So we have seen these debuffs in the past, and there is one unit in the game that is very similar to this unit. Summon AL is very similar because she is an ice long range damage dealer, and she also has a magic damage dealt debuff, right? So they are very similar units, I think. Obviously, Claudia's going to be a more up-to-date version, but it doesn't mean she's better in every sense, because Summon AL still has like her SCT support skills and her anima as well, so they're still different, but they just, you know, they feel kind of similar to me because they're both long range ice damage dealers with a magic damage dealt debuff, pretty much. So let's go over to her trait 2 next. This one's very similar to Riser. When ice skill or special attacking, stock action points then boost the tactics level based on the point stock. So it's the same thing as Riser's trait 2, but it's not as good because it boosts critical damage cap, and nobody likes critical damage cap apart from Ascended Roland, because critical damage cap isn't as good as normal damage cap. We know this. And if the unit doesn't have an insanely high crit rate, then the critical damage cap just kind of feels bad sometimes, a lot of the time. So when a unit has most of their damage cap locked behind crit damage cap, it just doesn't feel very good, unless they have enough crit rates to make up for that. But even so, you know, I don't exactly know what her critical rate is, but I'm still not a fan of critical damage cap. It would have been better to have normal damage cap, because then every single one of your hits would have had extra damage cap, and it's not random because of crit rate, you know. But up to 60,000 critical damage cap, and you can also, it also makes the debuff effect minus 50% at level 3, and it resets each wave, which kind of sucks. So even though you're using skills each wave, it will reset each wave, which kind of sucks, but this is mostly for bosses, I suppose. So it makes the debuff effect. I assume that means this magic damage dealt debuff make it minus 50% at level 3. Yeah, it says, and this trait's cut magic damage dealt debuff effect gets increased, so it's nice, right? You may think it's nice, but the thing is, the magic damage dealt debuffs are usually PvP focused, right? And this is not really PvP focused, because it's only when you're using a skill on her trait 1, and then her trait 2 increases the debuff effect, but you have to continuously use your skills. So it isn't really a PvP kind of thing for this debuff. It's not reliable. And the best thing about Summon AL, the reason why I'm going back to her is because hers is at the start of battle to all enemies, and that is just a lot better for PvP because it's just instant at the start of battle to all the enemies, right? But the downside of Klaudia for PvP is it's only to the target enemy that she's attacking with a skill, and that is just very specific, and it's never going to target the mage itself unless she's using a skill on the mage, and that's why I don't think it's really PvP focused just for this debuff. And when is a magic damage dealt debuff going to be useful in PvE content? I suppose sometimes bosses do magic damage, but a lot of the time it's like special damage, stuff like that. Special damage is usually the more dangerous damage that the bosses do in this game, so it's nothing crazy really. So these traits are kind of basic so far. You've got a lot of damage cap, some damage, some debuffs, mostly just the magic damage dealt debuff, so there's not too much on these traits. Critical damage cap, you know, it's mostly damage cap and the magic damage dealt debuff, so it's nothing really crazy on her traits. Honestly, kind of lacking with her trait 1 and trait 2. Doesn't feel like there's much going on here apart from damage caps and the debuff. That's all it really looks like to me. So I wish there was a little bit more than that. But let's move on to her passive skills next. So she does have some magic spells, which is very nice, and this is what kind of enforces her support role. First of all, she's got the debuffs from her skills and special, and she's also got the debuff on her traits, and now she has some magic spells. So she has a healing magic spell, Ancient Heal, and unfortunately this is not time stop, and I've never really been a fan of this because God Heal is just better in general because it has time stop, and it's just a lot, you know, better, as well as Stardust Heal. I just prefer that. But having Ancient Heal is okay, I suppose, because it does have more HP recovery cap, so it's alright. But you're probably going to be using different healing magic spells on this unit, honestly, instead of this, because this isn't the best healing spell. You've got, obviously, the SCT battery spells, like Poem of the Star Readers is a very good one, and that is probably what you're going to be using most of all, if you have it. And of course you could use Honey Elixir as well, and God Heal, Stardust Heal, those kind of healing spells would be good on this unit, I think. High Resurrection, having this on the unit already is pretty nice. High Weak. Now High Weak is something we don't see very often, and it is quite a nice one to have. I hope we get a Giga High Weak in the future. That's probably going to happen eventually. I believe Riser also had this, so it's nothing crazy. And also I think Summon AL had this as well, so they're quite similar. But it is basically improved weak. I don't know the exact number, but it might be 35 minus 35 resistance instead of 20. That's my guess. Or 30 or something like that, but it is basically improved weak and it won't stack with the base form of weak. But it is nice to have this. And she has a unique magic spell. Now what does this do? Also, this costs MP, and she doesn't have any funny business with only being able to use her magic spells a certain amount of times like Riser does. So you could continuously cast this one. Now what does this do? So this gives one enemy an ice damage taken plus 20% debuff, and an attribute weakness damage taken 20% debuff, and an ice damage taken cap plus 10,000 debuff for 30 seconds. So this is only to one enemy, but those debuffs are quite nice, and debuffs are quite useful. Like a damage taken debuff is, let me just say this, a damage taken plus 20% debuff is a lot more effective than just a flat 20% increased skill damage passive skill, but just because of how things work, right? It's a damage taken debuff, so that the calculations are a bit different. So these types of debuffs are a lot better, and you've also got the weakness damage taken debuff as well on top of that, and the ice damage cap taken 10,000 debuff. Going to be quite nice. So I do think this spell is going to be quite good, but it's not as good as Riser's spell. Her debuff increases 20,000 damage cap when you're hitting weakness. I personally prefer that, even though you can only cast it a certain amount of times until you break the enemy. I still consider that to be slightly better because you get 10,000 more damage cap, and it's to any attribute weakness damage. And this one is just ice damage taken caps, right? But it has the added benefit of the other debuffs on top of this, and you can keep casting this as long as you have MP, so you don't have a limit. So I think this will be good. It's just a lot more situational. If you're using her as a support, being able to inflict these debuffs, even if you can't take advantage of the damage caps debuffs, I think it will still be nice, because taking more damage might be what you need against the higher difficulty bosses. So I could find some use for this, honestly. But we don't have any very high DPS ice damage dealers in this game. And what I mean by that is comparable to Callum, Joshua, and Sholtier, those types of units. We don't have an ice version of those units yet. So maybe in the future, once we get a very high DPS ice damage dealer, maybe this will be a lot more useful for that unit in the future, who knows. But right now you're mostly going to be using this for the damage taken debuffs, I think. And obviously this will boost her own ice damage and any ice damage cap in the team, so could be a nice spell. And then we get on to the passive skills. So HP, Magic up max, Arcane up 3. So she does have a lot of intelligence, because she does scale off of intelligence, because I believe she has Thaumaturgy Ring plus. Esoteric up max is more intelligence, mind, and MP. Critical up 3, advanced aim vitals. So critical up 3 is very nice to have, because she does have the critical damage cap on her trait too. So having as much critical rate as possible is going to be quite good, because that's going to basically think of it like this: the more crit rate you have on this unit, the more damage cap you're going to have, because she has more critical damage cap on her trait too. Proud Force, Illusion, Brute Slayer. So Brute Slayer is pretty nice. That's the only Slayer she has, but it is still nice to have some Slayers at least. Auto Grand Aura. It would have been nice if she had EX Aura instead, but okay, it's fine. Auto High Magic Barrier. Quite nice, because she does have, you know, the take less damage, magic damage dealt debuff on her skills too, and she's got this, so she should be quite tanky to magic in PvE content, that's what I think. Auto Critical, so even more crit rate, it's very nice. Moonlight 2 is very nice, because it's not a learnable skill yet. Ardor, more crit rate at max HP is going to be very nice. Ice Giga Drive, so 5,000 more damage cap and some more damage, very good. And then 10,000 more damage cap. Ice Enhance, take even less magic damage and even more ice tag damage. Ice Critical Raise, so even more crit rate and critical damage, could be quite nice. So you can kind of see a theme here so far, where she has a good amount of crit rate and critical damage. So in PvP, I think her main damage, if she can do any damage, that is it's definitely going to be critical damage. That's what I think so far, because she's like heavily reliant on critical hits so far. Healing Giga Boost, so more HP recovery cap and more healing magic, more recovery from your healing magic. So this does kind of enforce her support role even further. So you can make her a healer if you really want to because of this, as well as Sacred Guardian, which is a very good one. We always like seeing Sacred Guardian because of the recovery magic cast speed plus 50%, which is very good for your healing magic spells. So I do like that a lot. And you could use healing magic spells like Poem of the Star Readers, Glass Record, those types of healing spells on this unit, which could be very good. Or you could just use a Spirit Maiden Sarah with that instead, which arguably could be better. But in some situations, maybe this unit could be better in some way, I suppose. Goddess Kiss, chance to recover MP, gonna be very nice. Maglion makes sense because she has long range damage here, that's very good. I wonder if we can get an improved Maglion skill in the future, like Maglion 2. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, because they're bound to do something like that. And imagine if that were to stack with Maglion 1, it would be funny, it would be hilarious. But let's not give them any ideas. Thaumaturgy Ring Plus, there you go. This will stack with Thaumaturgy Ring, the base form of the first one, and it is recommended to stack them because stacking them does, you do get some quite good bonuses from having multiple of these, so it's very nice to have. And this is the reason why she has intelligence stats in her skills and just high intelligence, because she has Thaumaturgy Ring Plus. She will still scale off of strength because it says here too, so strength isn't completely useless on this unit. It's still going to be useful. And then we get some bow boosts, so you're definitely going to want to use a bow on this unit if you have one. Bow boost, none of the bow boosts are currently teachable in the game because they don't want to give us, they don't want to give it to us because it would be too strong and we would end up breaking the game in some way. So when you have a bow equipped, more critical rate and physical damage, and then mega boost, even more critical rate, damage and damage cap, very nice. So she does have even more crit rate from both of these, which is 10% more, so it's very nice. Highly recommend to equip a bow because otherwise you'll be missing out on basically 27% physical damage and 10% crit rate and 2000 damage cap. So make sure to have a bow, even if it's terrible, doesn't matter which one, just make sure to have a bow if you have one. And you could dual wield on this unit if you have Sandworm, because that has the dual wield passive skill, which you could then teach to this unit to then give her, you know, double weapons. Then you can have a bow plus anything else. I think that could be a good build option, honestly. Quick trigger, and then we get on to her unique skills. These always get a lot more interesting. So the first one here, whenever boosting tactics level, restore the unit's MP by 10%, and Ice Special attribute weakness damage is increased by 150% and damage cap 200,000, and chance for special to deal critical damage as well. So this is basically improving her special damage and damage cap, and there's a chance for her special to deal critical damage as well. So her special will do somewhat decent damage as long as you're hitting weakness with the special. So that will be quite important, is hitting the enemy weakness with your special if you want it to do good damage, that is. But again, her special is only single target and it's only 53 hits, so her special isn't going to be anything crazy anyways. Even though she's getting an extra 200,000 damage cap for her special, it's not going to be anything crazy. Then the next one, when you have close equipped, you take 35% less damage, which is nice, but it's not necessary. And as you can see, she doesn't have any like single build bow boosts or things like that. So that is why I'm saying you could technically dual wield, and it's probably beneficial because she doesn't have any of the single build skills in her kit right here. Even though she does have a couple, it's not a big deal, right? When physically attacking, boost damage and damage cap based on the distance, maximum of 50% damage, which is quite a lot, and 10,000 damage cap. But when you only have one weapon, it's 40,000 instead. So yes, 40,000 is quite good for a single wield, or you can just get 10,000 when dual wielding, and then increase the damage cap even further when dual wielding. It's probably what I would do, honestly. And one thing to keep in mind is, I'm hoping the chance to inflict the debuff is per hit, and not at the end of the skill. I haven't really messed around with that yet, but I was originally thinking, if it's a chance per hit, then dual wield would technically double the chance because you've got double the hits, but I don't know if that's how her skills work with the debuff, because I haven't tried it out yet. This is basically another Maglion, by the way, because this increases damage by 50%, and this also increases damage by 50% based on distance, so I think there is some potential here for her to hit quite hard in PvP, because she has like this insane damage from Maglion, you know? She basically got 2 Maglion skills in her kit right here, which is quite insane. And the fact that she scales off of intelligence and has Thaumaturgy Ring Plus, and a lot of critical damage and crit rate, that's why I think she does have some potential in PvP, but we don't know yet, and she's definitely going to be very squishy, so I can't really say yet. So the next one here, HP recovery from units healing magic is increased by 30%, and healing casting speed is increased by another 50%, so now she has 100% healing casting speed, which is probably more than what is even necessary. Like 100% healing magic casting speed just sounds like overkill, does it not? That's basically instant for all of your healing magic spells. No matter what it is, it's going to be instant, which is very nice. So she's definitely going to be very fast at casting her magic spells, her healing magic spells, that is. When restoring an ally HP with magic, randomly heal one basic status ailment on the target. So this is kind of what Spirit Maiden Sarah has in her kit as well. It's the same thing. So more, you know, removing ailments is quite nice when just spamming healing magic. It won't remove illness because you can't heal because of illness, just removes, you know. Why does she have healing boosts? Well, because she has Ancient Heal, I wish she had some other unique healing spell, like some Collab limited healing spell would have been a lot more interesting. Because what I heard with this unit beforehand was that she was more of a support healer type unit, and she had some healing spells in the actual game she was from. So it does make sense that she's a healer because she was in the Riser game itself. So it makes sense if you know about it, that is. Even though she only has Ancient Heal, I think she will be quite a good healer because of Sacred Guardian, and now this one, which even more casting speed and randomly remove a basic status ailment on the target unit. So if you're using like Stardust Heal, it's going to remove one ailment from everyone in your team, which is very good. So I feel like she could be quite a good healer. Obviously not on the same end as Spirit Maiden Sarah, because it's just on a way different level, and this is a different type of unit because she can also be a damage dealer, and she's a hybrid, so it's still different. But I'm just saying, as a healer in general, she has the skills in her kit to become a good healer. So I do think she'll be a decent healer. Not going to be anything crazy, but still going to be quite useful as a healer, I think. And then the final one here, when another ally uses a skill, there's a chance to restore unit skill SCT by 3 seconds. So it doesn't say it restores ally SCT, that's not what it means. It restores this unit's SCT by 3 seconds. So it's nothing crazy. But if you have multiple units in your team that are using skills, then this is basically going to be giving Klaudia more SCT, pretty much, for her skills. So could be nice, I suppose, as long as it's a decent enough chance. And now we get on to the 6 enhanced skills. Take 20% less damage, boost HP and intelligence by 20%, more critical damage cap. And when you have an ice weapon equipped, increase ice damage by 20% and damage cap by 7,500. If you have one weapon, then it's doubled. And then boost damage cap based on distance by 6,000. More SCT recovery speed and anti-type damage 20% and damage cap 6,000. So Ancient Heal does not freeze time. That's why I consider God Heal to be better than Ancient Heal. The reason why Ancient Heal is technically slightly better is because it has more HP recovery cap. But I highly recommend, if you're using her as a healer, to teach her a better healing spell, because I just don't really like this one in general. You're much better off using either an SCT battery healing spell like Poem of the Star Readers, Glass Freckles, stuff like that, or Honey Elixir, or just giving her Stardust Heal, or Starlight Heal, or God Heal. So that's what I'd recommend for a healer. So in total, you do kind of need to have an ice bow if you're single wielding, which is probably what doesn't even exist in this game, or like very little, which is a problem. But that's the added benefit you get of dual wielding, is if you're dual wielding, you don't have to have an ice bow. You can have any bow you want, and then the second weapon could be an ice weapon, like an ice sword, which we do have a Godforged one, by the way, which is pretty good. So that's something to think about. So in total, her entire kit looks interesting. She is a hybrid damage dealer slash healer slash support unit, and she doesn't look anything crazy. It looks like she does have some pretty solid damage in her kit, honestly. I think her damage could be quite decent, potentially, for PvP, but we're going to have to wait and see on that one. she's probably going to rely on critical hits to be able to do good damage in PvP, but I'm just guessing so far. And the fact that she can also be a support, I think she does have potential to be decent as a support / damage dealer for like PvP. And if you're using her in PvE content, I think her main role in PvE content is going to be a support / SCT battery unit. Yeah, well, here's the thing though, is she doesn't actually have an SCT regen spell in her kit. So she's not going to be like a super free-to-play friendly SCT battery unit. But if you have the required SCT battery spells like Honey Elixir or Glass Record, then she could be pretty decent. But you have to remember that we already have Lena with her insight in the game already that has basically infinite MP. So when you have a unit like that, it's very difficult to compete with an SCT battery unit like that, unless you can also provide more to the team as well. So I suppose Klaudia, you know, she looks interesting, I have to say that, but she doesn't look like anything game-breaking, and I honestly don't think she's going to be that crazy. Well, it's always nice to see newer players getting into the game. It's always great. If these videos can help out players, that's the main reason why I do them. So, thanks for being here anyways. So I'm just thinking, right now, I'm thinking she's more of a support in PvE. And in PvP, she's going to be very squishy, right? And if you're using her in PvP, she's going to be a long-range damage dealer. I just don't see anything crazy, like, I don't see anything meta in this unit's kit so far. I think there is potential, right? There's potential to hit pretty hard. It depends on her damage modifiers. That is a big thing. Always depends on the unit damage modifiers once you test her out. But that's not something we can really get an idea of right here. But my initial impressions is I think she's going to be good, is the thing. And if you like this unit, you're not going to be disappointed, but she's not going to be meta in any way. And yes, she's a support, so she's probably going to last quite a while. But at the time of release, she's not like this game-breaking support unit like Spirit Maiden Sarah or Shifter Loot. She's not on the same level as those types of support units, because she is a hybrid damage dealer / support / healer, right? So she is not a full support, because she does have a good amount of damage as well. So I'll definitely come back to her a bit later on. But so far, she's not super impressive to me. I do like the debuffs. The debuffs are very nice. And Ice Menace could be pretty good, right? Mostly for PvE content. If you're struggling to hit damage cap, this will be very good for sure. And High Weak is very nice to have as well. So I kind of see... let me think of the perfect situation of when I would use her. When I would use her in like endgame content, because I mostly think of endgame content and when I can see use in the endgame content. Because if the unit can't be used at endgame, they're pretty useless. At least for my account. So that's like the main thing that I think about when I look at a unit's kit. Is her best, you know, situation is going to be being able to take advantage of Ice Menace fully. And by that I mean the damage taken cap debuff. And obviously the ice damage taken and weakness damage taken debuff. So in the future, I think this could potentially be very strong for a future unit that ends up being a super high DPS ice damage dealer in the future. So I think she's like a future proof type of unit support. This is more for future proof because currently we don't have one. Yeah, but here's the thing. I'm going to say one more thing and then we'll come back to her later on. Here's the thing. One problem is if you want to make her an SCT battery unit, then you're not going to be using her skills ever. And if you're not using her skills, then you're not going to be getting any of these debuffs, and you're not going to get her magic damage dealt debuff if you're just normal attacking and making her an SCT battery unit. So she's not the perfect SCT battery unit like Lena, so I don't think that's really going to be her main role, is the thing. Like, she can work there, but you're not going to ever be disabling her skills because you're going to be losing out on a lot. But I think she'll be nice. But personally, when I think about my current teams in the Battleground Simulator, I just can't think of a situation where I can fit her in instead of someone else. And that's the biggest problem, is I don't think she's going to fit into endgame content currently. And that's why I don't consider her value currently to be that high, because even though she has good supportive skills, she's not as good as what I already have. So yeah, it depends on what you have on your account already, really. Now let's have a look at the arc next, because I personally feel like this arc is a lot more interesting, and I do prefer this arc than the unit this time around. But let's have a look at it first of all, and we'll come back to the units a bit later on. So the trait on this arc, I do think this one could be quite nice for mostly PvP. When physically attacking, boost damage based on distance, maximum of 30%. Okay, 30% isn't anything crazy for a trait, really. Now, here's the main reason why I consider this trait to be pretty good. At the start of the battle, when you read that, you know it's going to be some kind of debuff or anything. It could be quite good. Give the Flame Circle debuff to all enemies. Now, we've never seen anything like this on an arc trait before, so this is very unique and going to be quite a PvP focused trait already. Like, a battle start Flame Circle effect to all enemies is definitely PvP focused, and I think is going to be very good for PvP. You could build an ice team and have this with Leonardo, and that means you're going to be reducing the enemy's ice resistance by 40 at the start of the battle because of both of their debuffs. It's going to be quite nuts, honestly. And if you also have a weakness like the skill that automatically reduces resistance by 10, now you're inflicting basically minus 50 ice resistance at the start of the battle. Could be pretty crazy for some ice PvP teams. And you may think, oh, then that means that Zero is going to come back into better. No, unfortunately not, because Log Zeus is just so incredibly broken in PvP right now that I don't see Zero coming back into the meta anytime soon or ever. So, yeah. As well as that, when you have close equipped, special damage taken is decreased by 30%. Quite nice. And when reviving an ally with the unit's active skills, restore 1 stock for 1 unit skill. So, I think the main thing about this trait is definitely the Flame Circle effect to all enemies at the start of the battle. This is heavily PvP focused. If this trait didn't have that, it would be kind of a bad trait, because the other effects are whatever, they don't really matter too much. The main effect is definitely the Flame Circle debuff to all enemies at the start of the battle. This is the most important trait, most important part of this arc trait. So that's basically the only good thing about this trait, I think. The other effects don't really matter to me, just the Flame Circle debuff, and I think this could be fun. You can mess around with some ice focused teams for PvP. I think this has potential to be a long-term useful arc trait for PvP if you care about that at all. So I do like that. It's going to be quite fun to build some ice teams just with Flame Circle debuff. It's going to be quite fun. And then the learnable skills. So, Resist Darkness. This is actually a magic spell. It doesn't really matter too much because it's just a blind resistance buff. It doesn't really matter. So first one here, this one does have 3 unique collab spells. Barrel is the first one. Every 10 seconds, there's a chance to get a buff for damage of the next skill used plus 30%. I just don't like this one because it's too RNG focused. Every 10 seconds, there's a chance to get a buff for damage of the next skill used. It's just the next skill used and it's gone. And it's every 10 seconds and it's a chance. So, are you ever going to use this and it's just for PvP. You're never really going to use this in Arena, I think, because you want to do damage as soon as the battle starts. So I just don't consider this skill to be very good. Even though 3 SC is very cheap, it's just 2 RNG, and I just don't like that. Like, when a skill is just RNG focused and you got to hope that it procs, I just don't really like skills like this. And if the chance is 50% every 10 seconds, it's probably fine for 3 SC, I suppose. And I think in guild battles, that's probably going to be where you're going to be using this the most, is in guild battles, but I don't think too many people care about guild battles right now, because Edis doesn't really care too much about guild battles, but I'm just saying, guild battles is probably where you're going to get the most value out of this skill. Arena, probably not, because it's every 10 seconds, you're probably just much better off going for guaranteed damage instead of this. And you know what? It's probably the same buff icon as what Prefect of God gives on that arc trait, so it's not going to stack with that. Ice Drive, Breakthrough, Ice Physical, and Special Damage Cap. And then when only you have one weapon, it's 3000 instead. I do like these skills. This isn't Weakness Damage Cap. This is Ice Physical and Special Damage Cap all the time. So I do like this one. Even though currently we don't have any crazy ice damage dealers. I know it's going to be good for Cloudia, right? But she's not that crazy. But it's still going to be good to have this, I think. And then we get on to this one, which could be nice. Damage taken plus 10%, so take 10% more damage, but you increase your strength by 10% and your critical damage by 15%. I think it's, you know, I think it's okay. It's mostly for PvP, right? If you want to maximize your damage, but you don't really want to take more damage. In PvE content, I suppose having 10% more strength and being able to stack that with existing strength skills could be quite useful, even though you're taking more damage. This could be useful in some situations, I suppose. I think the main benefit from this is more stackable strength at like endgame content against certain bosses. This could be good, but it's nothing crazy. It's for SC. I think it's good. It's alright. Nothing really crazy with this skill, but it's okay. I could see myself using it sometimes if I want to maximize strength, or if I just want more damage, then maybe. And then the final one here, boost ice and light damage based on the number of human type allies at the start of the battle. So Soldier Knight, yeah, obviously. So human type allies, maximum of 20% of 4 allies. 7 SC. Well, here's the thing, is yes, this is good, because 7 SC for a 20% ice / light damage increase is very good for 7 SC. But the problem is, it's based on the number of human type allies that you have in your team. So you're not always going to have an entire team of human type units, right? And that is the problem. And you're not always going to want to put mimicry, human type, or any type of human mimicry skill on your units. Especially in PvP, I don't think you're ever going to have a full human type team in PvP. So I think this has its usage, right? It can be used sometimes, but it's not going to be used very often. So I consider it to be an okay skill, but you're never going to be able to take full advantage of this. So you're probably not going to see yourself using it that often. So the passive skills on this arc are just kind of, they're okay. They're mainly for PvP, honestly, but they're not that crazy, and none of these you really need, honestly. So they're okay. I think these 4 are probably the most interesting ones, definitely the most interesting ones on this arc, but they're nothing crazy, and they're just smaller effects. So they would be nice to have, but I don't instantly look at a skill and think, I'm going to use this instantly. I just see these skills and think, yeah, I can see some situations where I could use this, but it doesn't feel like I must use it, right? So they don't feel that necessary, they're not that amazing. And then we go on to the Archive reward, which does get a bit better. This is an accessory which gives strength and intelligence, and the best thing about this is the trait, increase ice damage by 15%. So this is an accessory which increases ice damage by 15%. It's quite a good accessory, even though it's very basic and just a very short trait. It's a very solid trait, I have to say that, because this is all ice damage, so you can use this on a mage, or a physical damage dealer, or any ice damage dealer, or maybe in the future we get an ice counter unit. I'm just saying, if that ever happens, you could use this because it's all ice damage. So it's pretty nice, and you also got some ice and thunder resistance and silence resistance as well, so it's a pretty good accessory. I do like this one. It's definitely one of the better accessories, because 15% ice damage on an accessory trait is a very good one. So I like this one. This would be nice to have, honestly. I like this accessory. So overall, this arc does have some nice value, honestly, and I like this one. This is probably my favourite arc, and just the favourite thing in this collab, in my opinion, so far, because, you know, the trait Flame Circle at the start of the battle to all enemies, you could do some fun stuff with this for PvP. And then the learnable skills, nothing crazy, but they're solid. You can definitely get some use out of some of these sometimes. And then the Archive reward, definitely going to be great on any ice damage dealer, and it's a future-proof accessory too. So I do like this arc. You don't need it though, because it doesn't have anything super game-breaking, but if you do manage to get this, it is a very nice arc to have on your account for sure, because it does have some quite useful things on this trait. So I think this banner is pretty solid, kind of like part 1. I think both things in this banner are quite useful, but I consider the arc to have the most use. This one's probably the most useful thing, more useful than the units, because the units, I think she's going to be good, but I can't say how good she's going to be long term, but I can say that this arc is going to be good long term for basically forever. Is Great Wolverine arc good on her? Well, yeah, basically good on anyone, and it's going to be good on her, but not necessarily the best arc. If you want to use her as a support, yes, it can be good. Like, I can see some synergy there, because being able to inflict this debuff instantly because of that arc skill with Great Wolverine, yeah, that could be nice. So you could do that if you want to, for sure. Guaranteed debuff. I think that could be good, but if you're making her a damage dealer, you're going to be using Icy Guardian 100% of the time on this unit. But if you just want her to be at the support, then yes, Great Wolverine could be a good option, for sure, especially because of her special. And just any other supportive arc trait, I suppose, like Holy War or stuff like that. Redemption of the Beast, you know, you've got options. So, I do think this banner is pretty decent. With Shift Labyrinth, I mean, it's not really the best combo, because they are not amazing damage dealers. They're both kind of support units, so I wouldn't consider that to be a good combo team, really, because you're lacking a strong damage dealer in that team. Because they're both support units, technically they can work together, but it's not going to be as good as you think, I think. You think? Nah, she's not anything game-changing, she's really not. So, some people were hoping she would be like the next game-changing support unit. Unfortunately, she's not. She's not anything crazy. That's why I don't sound super excited about this unit, even though she does have some debuffs. I just don't see much use at like an endgame level for this unit, and that's why I'm not super excited right now. But I think she will be a fun unit for sure, and she's probably going to be useful in some situations. But for PvE content, I just can't picture a team where I would use her in PvE, honestly. Like, I can't think of a best scenario at the time of release where I would prefer to use her instead of my current options. That's the problem. But if you don't have those options, then I think she'll be good, yeah. If you're literally just starting today, then yeah, she's going to be good, because she can be a support and a damage unit at the same time. She's going to be nice. But she's not going to be anything crazy, and she's not going to be the next game-changing support type unit. So unfortunately, she's not anything great, anything amazing, but she'll be good. She'll be good. She'll be a good unit. She requires more testing, and I will showcase her in a little bit. But next, let's have a look at her paid equipments, because I need to have a look at those. So of course she's going to have a paid bow, and she's also got a paid accessory as well, which is nice that it's not closed, because that means you can get her, you can dual wield her. Even if you have both paid, you can still dual wield, so that's nice. So what does this bow do? The stats on this bow are actually very high, I have to say. 200 strength and 300 intelligence on a weapon is actually pretty damn good. And why is this a bow? I don't know why this is a bow, but I suppose it's fine. If you consider this to be a bow, then okay, fine. I'm not gonna question your, logic, but whatever. So the trait on this one, ice physical damage is increased by 25%, and critical rate is increased by 5%, so even more critical rate is technically more damage cap, because she does have critical damage cap in her kit. And then physical attack critical damage cap is increased by 5,000. And at the start of the battle, add 5% of defense / mind to intelligence. So this is just going to be, of course, her best weapon, yeah. It gives her 25% ice physical damage, more critical rate and critical damage cap, and you got basically more intelligence at the start of the battle. It's not going to be too much intelligence though, because it's based on your defense and mind. If it was based on strength, it would have been a lot better, because her strength's going to be higher than defense. But because she's a support, I think her mind should be decently high. It should be good enough. So I think this will be solid. But this isn't any crazy weapon. Yes, it's going to be pretty good, but it doesn't actually give any physical damage cap. It just increases your physical critical damage cap, which is arguably worse. So it's a good weapon. Very high stats on this one. It's quite funny of what the stats on this weapon is, but it's nothing crazy. It's technically 500 stats. This is nuts. Now let's go over to the accessory. No intelligence on this one. I don't know why. They should have put intelligence on this accessory, but it's got MP, defense, mind. Duration of debuffs from units' active skills plus 20%. Take 10% less damage and increase critical rate by 3%. Honestly, this trait is nothing great. It's kind of a bit underwhelming for a paid accessory, I have to say. It gives fire and light resistance and illness resistance. It's not that good. More duration of debuffs, take less damage, more critical rate, it's not really that important. You don't need this one at all. And I would say even the arc ether reward from the LR arc in her banner is going to be better than this. So that says something. I don't think this is that great. If you were to pick one, definitely get a weapon. This weapon is going to be her best one. It's going to be a very good weapon. You don't need it, but if you were to pick one, definitely get this one, because I consider this one to be better for the damage, the critical rate, more intelligence and a damage cap. This one's going to be better overall. This one is mostly if you want to make her a support, but it really doesn't matter. You don't really need this. So I would get the bow if I were to pick one of them. But again, you don't need any of them. And I do want to check out like free-to-play options just quickly. Let me have a look at my inventory and check if I have any ice bows, because I might have to say I probably don't. Maybe like 1, 4. Okay, that's terrible. That's alright. If you got this, then it's probably just fine. And this is, you can get this from the Chronicles event stage, so everyone can get this free to play. So this is a solid option if you want to single build her. this will probably be your best free-to-play bow option. Just make sure to get this from the Chronicles event, the Christmas one, and this will be a very good one to use. Those two are paid ones. If you don't have an ice bow, obviously you've got this one, which I like this one, more critical rate. The anti-type effect doesn't matter because you already have them in a kit already, but the 8% critical rate could be pretty nice. I would consider that one. I don't think there's anything else that really synergizes with her as a free-to-play bow. I mean, that's okay. Yeah, there's not really too much else for bows, but I just wanted to have a look. Yeah, we don't have many bows in the game, but at least we have one free-to-play option, so it's not all bad. Right, so let's leave it there for the moment. That is everything in regards to the unit and the arc. We will come back to her later on and showcase her in the unit test play quest. But for now, let's move on to the summons and hope it goes better than part 1. So, I do have a good amount of tickets. As I said earlier, you can get a couple more tickets in the present box, and I already got the 5 tickets from this shop for 300 paid crystals, so that's a pretty good deal. So, I am severely lacking in this collab so far. I don't have anything at all, and I would really like to get at least something, because leaving a collab with nothing just feels bad, because it could never get a rerun. So, I'm hoping that we can at least get 1 or 2 things today, if possible, but I'm not going to go super hard. I'm probably going to do a similar thing to part 1. I'm hoping we don't spend as much because I really desperately want to save for Christmas coming up, because I know that's going to be a lot more exciting. But let's start off with some tickets. So I currently have these tickets. You can get the temple from the events, and you can get up to 14 tickets free to play. So you can technically get 24 tickets right now, and the other 5 tickets I got from the shop with those 300 paid crystals. And you can also get 3 part 1 tickets from the present box, from the promos, so I'm going to use these first, because why not? And we're going to hope today we can at least get something new. Because the part 1 stream was so bad, I was very disappointed with that. There's probably not going to be anything in here, but I'm going to watch it anyway because it's a gold. I'm really hoping we get something today, and the one thing I would like the most is the limited arc from part 2. There is a red in here, by the way, but it's probably a dupe. Yeah, I expected so, because the animations weren't very good. I'm still aware, I'm very much aware that you could still get something new when you don't get good animation, but it just feels less likely, and I haven't had it happen yet. So let's use these tickets, and then we'll do the step gacha and decide what we're going to do after that. So the first 9 pulls, then we got 2 10 pulls. I'm hoping we can at least get something today, because part 1 was so bad, I felt really bad after that. Just a blue, there's probably not going to be anything in here at all, but we'll watch it anyways. 1, yeah, there's no red in there, there's not going to be anything in that one, I could tell. And then we got temple. Come on, I would at least like to get one thing from tickets if possible, because the tickets have been really bad for me. I've got nothing at all with tickets, and I always hear people getting stuff from tickets, and I'm out here like, where? It's bad. Yeah. My summons in this stream have been really bad so far, and that's probably going to continue. There's a red. Can you please be new? It's probably a dupe. Yeah, I expected that to be the case. It's really sad, because there wasn't any crazy animations going on. This is going to be another stream of absolutely nothing, isn't it? Here's the final temple. Come on. I would really like to get the overnight camp out arc. That's the one thing I want the most from this collab, at least. If I can at least get that arc, I'll at least be happy with getting something. Because that's the one thing I would like the most, right? Let's hope there's something in here. We need enough animations. If a Lilahar can show up, or some different animations, or something can happen, there's a chance. But if there's only like Adele showing up, or nobody showing up, it's not even going to be red, it's going to be disappointing, so come on. No, there's not even going to be anything in there. I told you, there had to be more than just Adele showing up. Because that isn't going to be anything in the slightest. Just another dupe. I swear, I've gotten so many dupes, it's really annoying. It's so annoying. The fact that I get so many dupes really sucks. Now let's do lap 1. Probably just going to be just as bad, but you never know. Man. This stream's just going to be the same as part 1, I can already feel it. It is going really badly. I know I've just started, but it's I don't have any hope. It's really bad. I know there's going to be some more tickets later on for part 2, but for part 1, I'm probably going to briefly check back at part 1 to decide if I want to spend any more on that banner or not, because I can't get any more tickets for part 1, so... And there's still no different background, so it still feels bad. A blue, yeah, I'm skipping that, there's no way. I knew it. Ugh. And the last one for lap 1. Again, no different background and just a little bit. It's probably, yeah, this one's just as bad as the rest of them. It's why are these summers so bad? For me, it's just been bad. Yeah, ever since they've changed the summon animations, my gacha luck has been worse. It has to be a coincidence, but my luck has been worse ever since they changed the animations. I know it is a coincidence, but I still have to say it. It sucks. Okay, let's do that one. And then after that, I suppose I'm going to have to dip into my free crystals again. I didn't want to, but it's gonna have to happen. I'm only gonna watch if it looks promising, and it does not. Okay. This day is just as bad as last week. It's bad. I really want to get this arc if possible, because it just seems very good. I'm going to be doing a similar strategy to what I did in part 1, but I feel like it's just going to be just as bad. I'm gonna do one 10 pull with 3 crystals, and then I'm not going to be doing any more 10 pulls today, and the rest will be single pulls, and that's just how it's going to be. You know, maybe if I switch to Steam now, it'll give me better luck. Stupid. Oh, this is bad. It just makes me sick seeing this. It really does. It's not even funny. It's not funny. It's not funny. It's bad. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna go to Steam, because maybe that will just be better luck on my part. And I'm not gonna be using any more paid crystals, so that's why I'm doing this now. And then we can do some more free crystal summons, and hope there's better luck on the Steam version. Probably not, but it's terrible. Well, at least you got something. When I'm sitting here with absolutely nothing from part 1 and part 2, it just feels bad. Because here's the thing is, I'm fine without these units, in a way, kind of, not really, but the arcs just seem quite good. And I would quite like the arcs. Like, if I were to have both arcs, that would be like the perfect situation. I'm gonna be doing some more pulls. We'll do 3 single pulls, get those 2 tickets, and then I'll consider what my choice is gonna be after that. But it seems like today's gonna be just as bad as last week, which... Oh, there's a beach. Okay, I'll watch it, because as you know, a beach is a guaranteed red. But it doesn't mean there's anything new. It could still be a dupe, so give me some different animations. That's the only thing I'm... No. No. Dupe. It's definitely a dupe. Yeah. See, Telestio is the only dupe I'll take. That's the only dupe I'm happy with. But I'm not happy that it was a dupe to begin with. This is terrible. You know, I'm probably going to go back to part 1, but... I don't know. There's 2 more tickets. I'll use those tickets, and then I'll probably decide on what I want to do after that. Because I know there's going to be more part 2 tickets, but there's not going to be any more part 1 tickets. So, come on, a different background. I need a different background, like the blue one. Forgo the blue place. That place is good. Not this place of blues. They're literally the same rare arc. The game's trolling. Okay, well, now we're gonna be on the long road. What I mean by that is, we're gonna be doing single pulls. I'm gonna be doing part 1 just a little bit. Reason why is because I know I can't get any more tickets for part 1. So if I'm going to want to get anything from part 1, now's the time. I'm only going to watch it if there's something. I'm only going to do a couple, and then I'm going to go back to part 2 and do a few more singles on that one and hope we get something from there, but I'm still surprised we haven't gotten a single thing from this. Zekers is better, a blue is not, that's worse, that's even worse. I need to see something different, like a gold array or a different background is like... This is bad. I desperately want to keep stacking up crystals and saving, but this is a collab, so I have to at least try and get something from this banner. Part of me feels stupid for even doing this, and not pitying one thing, because then I could at least guarantee one thing, but... None of these are even necessary. This is bad. Nope. Yeah, this is just going to be the same situation that happened in part 1, it really is. I'm going to be here all day, doing single pulls like this, getting nothing, and I don't know what else to say. I suppose I'll go in between both of these banners. Overnight Camp Out is probably the thing I would like the most. But it is definitely the thing I want the most. But I don't think it's going to happen. I know there's a couple more tickets. Come on, at least if I can at least get one thing, then I'll at least be happy with it. I don't think it's happening today, is it? No. Great. This collab doesn't like me, it really doesn't. Don't know what I did to you, game, but it doesn't like me. The last thing I pulled was Logzeus, and I basically had to pity him. And then what I pulled before that was Demon Lilibet's You Are Rock, and I haven't pulled anything since those 2 things, so... luck has definitely been downhill since the animations has changed. This is very uneventful. Yeah, well, 170k was because it was including my paid crystals, which was on, you know, the emulator, so... The part 2 arc is definitely the better one. The part 2 arc is probably the best one in here. I do consider that one to be quite good. So if you were to chase for one of the arcs, the part 2 arc would be the best choice, I think. And that's the one thing I would like the most. I think I had about 150k free crystals today, so I started at 150k. And now I'm at 140k, so I already spent like 10,000 and still got nothing. And some paid crystals too. Is bad. I haven't even got a red since I started Singapore's. I mean, I think it's just a coincidence that I've had bad luck since the animations have changed. It has to be a coincidence. It's bad. Pain in the ass. There's a beach. I'll watch it, but it's gonna be a dupe, I tell you. Unless there's an animation going on, but it's gonna be a dupe. No, no, no. No, it's a dupe. Yeah, see? I really... See, I like the animations, but I also don't. Because of my luck being so bad. Like, getting a... It feels like getting a beach doesn't matter. Because every single time I've gotten a beach, it's been a dupe. Every time. Every single time. So far. I'm gonna do some more, but I'm not pitying anything because I don't consider any of it to be worth pitying. But I would really like to get something. This is just terrible. I don't know what they did to my gacha rates, but they're off. They're definitely wrong. They're terrible. I refuse to do a temple because it's a waste of crystals. Yeah, Golden Ray. Golden Ray is the only one I've seen. Is the only animations I've seen on my account at least. I know a lot of other players. I see people constantly getting animations, having fun, but I haven't gotten any of them. Just that one that was fun, but apart from that, nothing else. It's just been this. Constantly. This. Just like Zekus or Lilibet showing up, getting nothing, occasionally get a beach, but it just being a dupe anyways. That's all it's been ever since. Hey, there's a beach. Speak of the devil, I'll watch it anyways, but we need something interesting to happen. We know it's a red, but I'm like 99% sure it's going to be a dupe, unless it gives me like Lilihar or some kind of unique animation. 3. No, nothing going on. No extra animation, so it's a dupe. See? See? I don't like this system. I don't like it. I hate it. It sucks. It's terrible. I know it's a gacha game, but it's still... I sometimes hate the gacha so much. This is one of those times where I just don't like the gacha. It's being very bad. You know, I could have just saved and skipped the entire thing and spent on a guarantee pity instead, but I don't do that because that's boring. And fully skipping a collab is just a bad idea. I know I'm gambling, but what else am I supposed to do? Nothing really. Come on, I'm still gonna do some more summons. And I might go back to part 1 if we can get one thing from here, like right now. But that's not happening. And nothing's happening. I can get one more ticket. And then after that, I could probably get another ticket later and then... Terrible. Awful. Oh. Let's see if part 1 has any better luck now. Probably not. No. If the Rhea was there, but it didn't matter because it was a blue anyways. I think at this point I've done like 200, almost 200 summons in total, and got nothing. Just dupes. It is terrible. I would stop, but I would really like to get at least something new from one of these banners, at least. And I'm not super fussed of what it is at this point, I just would like to see something, you know? I know I'm doing part 1 right now, but there's no more part 1 tickets. Zekus keeps showing up, and it's annoying because he doesn't provide good luck. I know there's a gold. I'll watch it. You'll see, this doesn't matter. See, the gold anyway. If a Zekus or a Lilibet shows up, it's gonna be bad. See, a Lilibet, nothing there. Even if the Rhea shows up, it doesn't really matter much anymore. It depends on the different background. Or the random different animations that you get that doesn't exist on my account. I feel like I shouldn't be pulling on this banner anymore. I feel like I shouldn't. I'm gonna go back to part 2. I was really trying to save these crystals for Christmas, which I'll still be saving some, but... Oh... See, it's a 1.6% chance of getting one of the rate up things. At this point, it doesn't feel like it. At this current moment, it doesn't feel like that. It really does not. .8% per. Haven't even got a single one. It's been a long time. Ugh, I don't like you. When is my stopping point gonna be? I should probably stop very soon. I've been trying to get at least one of the two, but in both banners I just can't get a single thing. It's terrible. Terrible. I don't like using my crystals. I like saving them. No, I mean everyone showed up, but it really doesn't matter because of how animations work in this game now. One, there's a Dell, there's a skip, there's stuff in there. Even if it were to be a red, it would be a dupe anyway, so... If there were to be a red show up, then I would at least have, like, some little hope, but... I still haven't seen a blue background, by the way. Or the blue... Are these units even worth this much? Well... It's not just the units, it's the arcs as well. I consider the arcs to be quite nice to have. There's a red, I'm glad I watched it, but as you can see there's no animations in there, so it's still a dupe. It's a guarantee because you need the extra animations, otherwise screwed. I think Riser would be fun, and I think the Part 1 arc would be nice to have. And there's no more tickets, so that is the only reason why I've been doing Part 1 as well. I do kind of want to save a little bit and wait for the extra tickets in the login, because we do get a couple more in the login for Part 2. So I kind of want to save a little bit for after that, because there's still a chance that those could give something, but at this point, I don't like any of this that's happening right now. I like none of it. I really want to go over to the showcase as well, because I still need to showcase the unit, but it's becoming really hard to look forward to that when I can't even get anything. I think she's nice, yes, but I'm not pulling it not pulling just for the unit. I like the arcs too, I think, and they're both collabs, so both banners are going to be quite solid. But my luck is not. My luck is bad. It's really bad. So terribly bad. I wish I could at least get something. I've used too many crystals. This is terrible. Come on, I want to at least get one more red from Part 1. Because this is Part 1 currently. I want to at least get one more red that I can see. So I at least have one more chance. And then I should probably stop in a moment and save. It's not always this bad. It's just this collab for me is worse than normal. Like, usually it's better than this, but I just feel like the different animations are trolling me and giving me worse luck than normal. That's just what it feels like to me. I am gonna hate these animations until it actually starts looking good, but It's not. It's none of it's good. It's all bad. This is all bad. I don't like seeing Lilibet and I don't like seeing Zekers. They are both bad luck. It's almost always guaranteed to be a Lilibet or a Zekers in this corner, and I don't like that. I really don't. They don't give luck. They... Go away, Zekers. Nobody likes you. I really don't want to summon anymore. I really don't. I don't like this gacha. I hate it. Oh boy. What can I do? I can't really do anything in this collab. Like, it's... I'm gonna do a couple more in part 2. I'm not going back to part 1 anymore. Okay? I'm gonna get maybe like 1 or 2 reds here, and then we're gonna stop. I'm not gonna do any more after that, because I know I'm not getting anything today. Because it's terrible banner. And I wasted too many crystals on this banner, and this collab in general. It's just been terrible. I was at least hoping to get like 1 thing today, but none of these summons are good. Like, it's hard to enjoy a game when you can't get anything. I know this is how other people feel a lot of the time, but it feels bad. See, look, a Theria's there, but look, I'll show you, a Theria showing up doesn't matter. Even though Theria showed up and not a Zekers, not a Lilibet, it doesn't matter. See? Still a blue. Lilibet doesn't matter anymore. There's another Lilibet. You don't matter unless this is like a gold or a red. It's just the only point where it would matter. A bit more, I suppose. Oh. At least I can get 1 more ticket. It's not gonna matter. You know, this is just gonna scar me for life now. This collab being so bad to me is just gonna scar me for life and dislike this collab for the end of time. Because I haven't been able to get a single thing. I'll do a couple singles in part 2 to try and get a 1 red or something. And then we're gonna be stopping for today. I'm not gonna do any more. Because it is clear to me that now that it's not going to give me anything ever again, because the animations changed. And with the different animations, my luck is gone. I'm not even going to bother watching that. See, I told ya. I don't like this. I started at like 150k, I've already used 30,000 or so. And what have I got to show for it? Just the gacha giving me a middle finger. Many times over. That's about it. Oh. Nope, just another blue. See, I can't be surprised anymore. Like, it's just bad. I'm so disappointed. It's not even fun. just want to get one red and leave. I'm gonna get one more red, okay? And I haven't seen a beach in a while either. Not like that's gonna matter. Because the beach still just gives a dupe anyways. Just a blue. Oh. I would at least like to see something new show up on my screen. Eventually. Yeah, I know, it's bad, but like, I can't do anything about it. I wish I could. But... it just makes me hate it even more. Is all that's doing. At this point, I could have saved enough medals to get that temple ticket. Which is dumb. It's so dumb. Okay, this is the last one. Is a dupe. I'm calling it. You know why? Because there was no gobble, there was no golden ray, and it was just a blue, and there's also gonna be no extra animations. There has to be either some kind of extra cutscene going on here, or Lilahar or something, otherwise it's just going to be another dupe of something. And I'm almost certain that it's just going to be a dupe, because that's what it's been every single time. There's a Lilahar. That could mean something, but I don't... Yeah, this has to be new, right? This is actually a cutscene for once. I'm gonna guess this is a unit. This feels like a unit to me. It's the arc. Great. That's actually the one thing I wanted. We actually got something for once. There you go. It wasn't a bunch of nothing. For once. I told you. It needs... Once you see the Lilahar show up, you know it's going to be something good. You know it's going to be something new. So seeing Lilahar is the one thing that you're looking for. Amazing. At least I got something. I can't be happy about it, but oh well. There's at least one thing. Now, you know I'm gonna go and be crazy right now. I'm gonna do a couple in part 1. Because maybe that has now refreshed my luck to get something better. Do I need anything in part 1? Well, technically no. Technically no. And I probably should not. I probably shouldn't. But I don't know. I'm going to be doing the daily gacha pulls for the next 2 weeks. If there were more tickets for part 1, I would not do any more. If there were not anymore. If there were more tickets, then I wouldn't do this. But I'll do like a few, and then I'm gonna be stopping. I did say I was gonna stop, but that's what I didn't. I meant to clarify that I meant stopping on that banner. I'm not going to be pulling for the part 2 unit at all now. I'm going to be skipping part 2 because I got the arc. I'm not going to be pulling on that one anymore. Because the unit on part 2 doesn't feel necessary to me. So, yeah, that's basically what you're looking for in this gacha. Is you're looking for like a beach, and that's going to guarantee a red. That's when you know it's a guaranteed red. If you get a beach, then you're looking for Lilahar to show up. And any extra cutscene, right? That's what you're looking for. If you see like a Lilibet or a Zekis in the bottom corner, you know it's nothing. Even a Thoria, if you see them, it's probably going to be nothing. Unless the orb itself ends up being a red or something like that. Or you see a golden ray or a gobble pops up, you know, there's certain signs. But, yeah. I don't know why I do this to myself, but, I am. I'm gonna try to get one red if possible. There's a beach. This is the final one. It doesn't mean it's anything new. It doesn't mean anything. There's a gobble! Gobble! Gobble. Hey, a gobble means new, doesn't it? I swear. A gobble means something, right? I swear, gobble has to be something. There's no way a gobble doesn't mean that it's a new thing. I swear, if a gobble shows up and it's still a dupe, I'm gonna be hella mad. Like, I ain't even joking on this one. The gobble has to mean that there's something new in this. If it's the unit or the arc, I'm not fussed. I have everything else in this banner, I think I do. If it's something I don't have from the permanent pool, I'm gonna be really mad. But a gobble, there's no Lilahar, but it doesn't, there's a unit. That's gonna mean that, no, wait a minute. That was the original, that wasn't the unit animation, that was, there you go, there's Riser, there you go, there's something. Yeah, that was the original unit animation. So that extra animation means that you get a units, and the gobble means you get something new. There you go. Great. I'm gonna be stopping there for today. At least we managed to get some things. It's not all bad. At least it turned out better in the end. But well, yeah, I'm not gonna be pulling anymore. It would be nice to get the arc. It would be nice to get the part 1 arc. It would be. I wish it was the part 1 arc instead, but I ain't gonna complain about it. I probably would have preferred this. Actually, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I think having Riser is a good thing. Having Riser, she's actually the unit I preferred from this collab, because she's fun, and she has the 20,000 damage cap weakness debuff. I think she'll be fun. So I'm definitely looking forward to trying her out and building her over the next 2 weeks. So that's going to be fun. But yeah, let's put Riser in this team, and I will showcase Klaudia in a moment, just don't worry about that. Obviously this stream is part 2, so I'm not going to be focusing on showcasing Riser because I did that in part 1. So I'm just going to be messing around with her in my own time. And I just want to show you something real quick. And that is the fact that I have... Where is it? I have this one. I have this breaker crest, and this is going to be perfect for her. And I think I can make her a very good breaker because I have this. Now, don't tell me to get her paid weapon, because I'm not doing it. I am not. I won't. And I never will. Only if someone buys it for me, but I ain't gonna do that. Because the free-to-play options is fine. So, I'm... What is that? What is that title thing? I want to see what that is. Get 200 arcs. Oh yeah, the arc that I got was my 200th one, so yeah. That's nice. Which also gives me some more crystals. Okay, it's not too bad. It's better than it was in part 1 at least. I can't complain. Right, so I now want to move on. That's the summons done and out of the way. because I got one from it, part 1 and part 2, I'm definitely going to be skipping those banners now, and I think my plan is probably doing the daily gacha pulls, but I'm gonna wait for some other people to test Klaudia, but I might do the daily gacha pulls for each of these banners to hope to get the unit and the arc that I'm missing. But honestly, getting Riser and the part 2 arc was probably the best I could have hoped for. So let's leave it there for the moment. I'm gonna make sure to redo this. And then I will start showcasing the new units in the unit test play quest, because that would be fun. Don't push your luck too much, otherwise it'll bite you in the arse. And then you'll have 0 crystals left. Right, let's go to the unit test play quest. So what we're going to be doing now is start having a look at Cloudia and showcasing her in the unit test play quest. So obviously they've got her base kit, intelligence pretty good, all 6th enhance, and this setup. If I were to build her, if I had her, I would build her dual wield, honestly, because, you know, even her paid equipment doesn't require her to single wield, so I think her best build is going to be dual wield. Even though she doesn't have it in her kit and she has some that's locked behind single wield, it's not necessary because she has a lot of, you know, boosts to that apply when dual wielding. So I think her dual wield could be pretty nice for PvE content. As an SCT battery unit, double hits going to be quite nice. And a damage dealer. In PvP, definitely better to single wield. But let's try her out here. She has obviously the limited arc, which I'm excited about using this eventually, but let's try her out in here. So what I want to do here is just have a look at all of her animations, just see what her entire kit is like in the unit test play quest. So she is a long range damage dealer. Let's have a look at her stats first. 7,000 intelligence. The strength is very low, but she can still scale off of strength, so even if you get any form of strength increases, it's still going to boost her damage, but you're much better off to boost intelligence because it's a lot higher. So let's start off with normal attack. Now this normal attack is kind of weird. Like, it's a weird normal attack, and you'll notice if I go closer, it travels even slower if you're closer. And if you're further away, it's going to be quicker. And all I'm going to say is I hope it tracks the enemy, because if it can just completely miss the enemy, it's going to suck as a normal attack. It's 4 hits, the extra hit is from Flame Circle, by the way. It's 4 hits, it's not very spammable. I mean, the reason why I'm showing it is because it is important, because she has Goddess Kiss, and if you want to make her an SCT battery unit, then normal attack is very important. And then let's go over to her skill 1. So skill 1, you know, it's very small. You'll kind of notice with her animations, the animations on her skills are kind of not very flashy. They're just kind of small. I mean, it's pretty fast skill 1, but it's not super spammable. Well, this, the debuff from her ult is going to be the exact same icon, so it's not going to stack. If it were to stack, it'll be insane, but it's the same icon, so it's going to be the same thing. Start the debuff. Yeah, this still has a delay, so it's not super spammable. There's nothing crazy about her skill 1, it just does damage, but it's decently fast. Might as well kill the enemy and then we'll go... No, actually I can just retry. Because I've already beaten this once. And then we can try out her skill 2. Don't be super impressed with her skill 2. Prepare to be disappointed, because I was very disappointed when I saw the skill 2. I haven't even tried her magic spells out yet, but I'll do that in a moment. So, skill 2, don't brace yourself, because you will be disappointed, and you will believe your eyes. Just to give you an idea of what the animation actually looks like. I mean, if you can't already tell, I don't like it. Because the animation is just... I mean, I know she's got like a whatever instrument that is, but... Has she even inflicted a debuff once? Yeah, she just inflicted once that time. Now the enemy has a defense debuff. Through all of those skills, you only inflict one debuff. Now, if I try and spam it... Yeah, you can see this is like one of the slowest skills ever. And yeah, it is, once the skill finishes, it has a chance to inflict the debuff. So, I don't like it, if you can tell. I don't like her skill 2, because it's way too damn slow. And the unfortunate thing is that her skill 2 was quite an important part of her kit because of that debuff. Let me use it once. Didn't inflict a debuff that time. And it inflicted both that time. Now, this debuff, I'm pretty sure it lasts 40 seconds, because that defense and mine debuff is going to be there for a long time. Now let's try out her skill 3, because this is a lot better of a skill. I prefer this. It's a lot better. It's nothing crazy, but... it does have that chance for that debuff, which... let me just show the debuff. So you've got the cut defense and mine debuff, that's from her skill 2. Cut magic damage dealt, that's from any of her skills or her special. And then you've got the cut damage dealt debuff, which is from her skill 3. And this is the exact same icon as what Spirit Maiden Sarah has in her kit, which is the minus 50% damage dealt debuff for a couple seconds. It's the same icon, so it's not going to stack with any of those, but that's just something worth noting at least. And this cut magic damage dealt debuff is the exact same icon as Summon AL's exact same debuff, so it's not going to stack unless it were to be a different icon, which is not. So those are all of her skills, and you can see they're not very impressive. They are incredibly slow. Especially the skill 2. And you can tell already her actual DPS is going to be quite bad. Because her skills are so slow, it's going to be quite bad. If you're just using her as a DPS for PvE content. But, of course, it's going to be different for PvP, because that's a whole different story there. It doesn't say anything about her skill 3 pulling enemies in. If it could pull enemies in, it could have been a fun skill. But because it doesn't say it is a pull-in effect, I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. And I have to say, the area on all of these skills are quite small. Even though it says medium area on skill 1 and skill 2, and a wide area on skill 3, it doesn't feel like that. The area just feels very small to me. I also got to try out her debuffs and her special. But yeah, that doesn't look like a wide area to me. Like, this doesn't... If you were to say, what area is this? I would say medium area. I would consider that to be a medium area. And then I would consider this to be a small area. And this to also be a small area. Because they're just that small. Like, the area of this is so tiny, it's not going to ever like hit another enemy. Same thing with this, it's so tiny. Now let's try out her magic spell. So Ancient Heal, if you don't know what it does, if you haven't used it before, it doesn't stop time. So it's not the best. It's my least favourite healing magic spell. Because it doesn't stop the time. And of course High Weak. Let me just show what their resistances are already. 100. And then cast this. It will now reduce it to 135. So it is a 35, you know, resistance reduction to all attributes, which is very good. So in some situations, you might get some use out of this unit if you desperately need to reduce the enemy resistance. So you can get some use out of High Weak. It's quite a nice skill, and it's not currently a teachable skill, so it is quite nice. And then Ice Menace. Let me just show those debuffs. So Ice Menace inflicts the boost ice damage taken debuff, boost attribute weakness damage taken, and the boost ice damage taken cap. So that's like the same icon as the UR skill, summoners, whatever that one is. Summon spirits, that one, I got there eventually, it's that one. It's the same icon as that arc skill, so it's not going to stack with it. But the boost ice damage taken, it's the same icon as like reduce ice resistance, but it's not exactly the same because it's boost ice damage taken. So these are very nice debuffs because these types of debuffs are very specific, and we don't see these types of debuffs that often. So I do consider these debuffs to be quite useful. And now if I use a skill 3, it's going to be even higher damage, so that's nice. Now let's look at her special next. Try this out. Should be hitting pretty hard because the enemies are weak to ice, by the way. Well, it wasn't even hitting damage cap at the end because the debuffs wore off, but it's not too bad. But here's the thing, right? Compare this to existing special damage dealers, and even Shiflog Zeus. If you use Shiflog Zeus as a special damage dealer, his special can do insane damage, and it's even all enemies. It's just no competition. He can do like 17 million damage from one special. It's nuts. So it's not even a comparison. But let me go into this again. I'm going to use the special at the beginning, so we can see the debuffs and stuff activate. Might as well use this first. Then I'll use the special. Yeah, it doesn't do too much really. It's like 2 mil or whatever, however much that is. $20 mil. I mean, that's alright. It's not nothing, but the main benefit you get, all of these 4 debuffs. So now you've got cut defense, mind strength, and intelligence by 50%. So this is not going to stack with anything else that's the same icon. So if I were to use a skill 2 for instance, and when it inflicts the debuff, if it ever does, you can see all it did was it refreshed the defense debuff because it inflicted defense. So it just refreshes the same debuff. So yeah, it's not going to be anything crazy, but the fact that these are minus 50% debuffs are very nice, so I do like that. And she does have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 debuffs in her kit basically, so there's a good amount of debuffs. And you can also inflict High Weak as well for another one, so it's quite nice. So there's not really too much else to show with this unit, I think. I mean, you've got a good idea of how she works as a damage dealer mostly. Her best DPS is just going to be spamming skill 3, but it's not even that good. Her crit rate is pretty decent. Damage cap is not that great for a single damage dealer. So I think as a support, she has some pretty nice debuffs, but they're not super necessary, and we do have existing outside, you know, ways to inflict those debuffs, apart from her special, which also inflicts a 50% intelligence and strength debuff. That is something we don't have access to reliably keep inflicting. So I'll do this one more time and just try and kill this enemy as fast as I can, but it's going to be very slow. But the most important debuffs, especially for PvE content, is definitely the minus 50% defense and mine debuff. Those are the most important ones. Yeah, this is just so slow. If you're using her as a main damage dealer, you can see how slow it's going to be. It's very slow. So yeah, don't expect much from her raw DPS, because that's not really going to be doing very much. She might hit hard, and she could be a good support. That's kind of like her main role, is supporting and doing a little bit of damage at the same time. That's in PvE content. Now in PvP, she might hit hard enough, but we don't know. It's going to require testing. But I find it hard to believe that she's going to be able to fit in the current meta for PvP, considering that Shift-Log Zeus exists in Arena everywhere. I don't think she's really going to work. Unless her damage ends up being stupidly crazy in there, but we don't know. Someone's probably going to get her to plus 30 and try her in there. It's going to work, but I have to wait and see on that. So I think that's all the testing I wanted to do for this unit. I mean, yeah, I'll talk about my conclusion towards the end, but just briefly, there's nothing impressive with her DPS potential. It's not that great, but you could see in the unit test playquest that as support, she did inflict quite a good amount of debuffs, and I do like this Ice Menace debuff. Is quite nice. And having access to this could potentially be quite useful in the future. If we ever get a ridiculously strong PvE ice damage dealer that can take advantage of this, then I think that Klaudia is going to be probably the best pair for that unit in the future. But currently we don't have a very high DPS ice damage dealer to take advantage of this, so that's why the value of this isn't that high, because this is mostly for ice damage units. And we don't really have many that can take advantage of this in PvE, and you're never really going to be using this in PvP. I mean, you might be able to, but it isn't the main use, because you've got to get so much MP to be able to use it in PvP, so it's probably not even worth considering to use it. And she's going to be quite... she doesn't have... like, she has hardly any physical damage mitigation, so if she gets hit by any physical damage or any skill, she's just going to die instantly. So yeah, she might be able to tank magic slightly, but she is a human type. She's probably going to die to any mage. So yeah, I'm just trying to think of where I would use her, and in the content that we currently have, is she going to be good in the current content? I think she will be solid, but I don't think she's going to be meta in any of the current content. And she might be useful in the future for Ice Menace. That's the thing. So I think, honestly, both of these units are quite nice because they can both support, and that does add more long-term value for these units. And supports in this game are very important. As you know, supports last the longest, compared to just a damage dealer that just does damage. They're not going to last as long, but a support can, in theory, last many years sometimes. So I do consider these two units to be quite nice. Now, I believe that's everything I wanted to cover for the showcase. Just quickly show the events. and I do want to talk about conclusion and stuff in a moment. I did get everything from this event already, I just got to do some more event stages and stuff. And there were some more tickets in the trading space, so make sure to get those if you haven't yet today. I think there were like 2 or 3 more, probably 2 more Collab Part 2 tickets. And you can press this barrel, if you didn't know that. So, I think that's everything that I wanted to cover for today. Let me just quickly have a look at Alchemy Lab, because there is, you know, I think this is a chance, so we don't exactly know what the chance is, but I'm going to guess this is probably a low chance, so it's probably not going to be that good. But it's worth getting anyways. But I highly recommend make sure you at least get the staff, because it is going to be very good if you get Riser, and it's just good to have on your account at least. Okay, so yeah, honestly, this event doesn't have too much to it. It's not the best to farm, because we don't really get too many. Actually, I lied, it's got this stage that I forgot about, yeah. So you have a chance to get rainbow potions from here, so it's not all bad. I haven't done them yet, so it's decent to farm, but not the best. But still going to be pretty good. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there for today. My conclusion on this collab is going to take a bit longer than normal, as I want to cover everything that this collab is offering. But first, let's talk about the part 2 itself. So in regards to part 2, I'm decently happy with what this collab has given us. But let's start with part 2 first of all. I think part 2, you know, is pretty good. I like the arc. I am a fan of this arc. I think this arc is quite on the better end of limited arcs. It's not the best by any means. It's definitely not. It is still not stupidly good, but it has some long-term use. So I personally feel like the best thing in this entire collab is going to be this limited arc, and I am a fan of this one the most. And Klaudia, she is interesting. She wasn't really what I was expecting. I was hoping for more of a supportive unit, and yes, she is a support unit. I was just hoping for a bit more, you know, better supportive buffs and stuff, and I was hoping she wasn't a full damage dealer. But what they've done with her, I can't really complain. There are a few negatives, like her skills not being very fast, and they don't look that flashy to me. They just are a bit more boring on the skill animation side at least. But she does have some very nice debuffs, and I can see in the future she could end up being quite useful because of her unique debuffs. So I think she'll be nice to have, but she's not a master pool. Technically nobody ever needs this unit, but if you do manage to get her while trying to get the arc, I think she's going to be a nice one to have on anyone's account, because you could use her situationally sometimes, or she could be your support or SCT battery unit if you don't have existing options. But she doesn't have an SCT spell in her kit, so she does kind of require an outside spell, and if you do have an outside spell, then you're going to be using Lena, which is the best SCT support unit, so it's kind of a, you know, difficult to fit her in a team. But I think her main use is going to be in the future when we get a high DPS ice damage dealer, which we currently don't have one. And what I mean by that is for PvE content, high DPS for PvE content, for like time trials and endgame type content. That's what I'm thinking about. Once we get something like that in the future, then I feel like this is going to get more value, and it's going to be quite good for that unit to pair with. But currently, we don't really have a very good unit for this to synergize with and take advantage of the ice damage caps and ice damage taken. So it's not that useful right now. Yes, it can buff herself, so I suppose it's good in that sense, and it can buff some other ice damage dealers. They're just not that comparable to the best damage dealers in the game, and that's why I don't think many people are going to be using this for ice units, because they're not really for any game. But as a damage dealer, she looks like she has quite a good amount of damage, right? So that's what I think with part 2 is they both seem quite nice, and I don't mind. I think it's a good idea to, you know, put a few crystals in this banner, because this is a collab banner and it's only available for another 2 weeks at the time that I'm doing this, so it is limited. You don't need to chase for it. I don't think it's worth pity. If you care about PvP, then maybe you're going to get more use out of this limited arc. That's up to you. It's not necessary, but it is going to be good for PvP long term, so it's one to consider at least. So I like this part 2, and now in regards to part 1, I already talked about it in part 1 stream, but I just kind of want to compare both of these banners and what you should be pulling on right now. So part 1, I think the unit in part 1's pretty good, honestly. Yes, she is the best breaker in the game, but breakers are very niche. If you enjoy the breaking mechanic, then I think she's going to be a fun unit to use for sure, and you can do some fun things with this unit, especially if you've got units that synergize with her, like Shiflog Zeus, Shifla Luch, Spirit Maiden Sarah. Those types of units are going to synergize with Ryza quite well. So, and she has one of the best damage cap supportive skills on a unit in the game currently, because of the 20,000 damage cap debuff. Well, it's a weakness damage taken cap debuff, but this is one of the highest debuffs we have on a unit in the game currently, and on average it's usually around 10,000, and on the higher end it can go up to 20,000, but we don't have it that often, and it's usually very like situational. Like Shiflog Zeus can technically reach 20,000, but only for light god type units, so it's very situational and niche. But this is any attribute weakness, so it's any attribute. I know it's only to one enemy, but endgame is all about killing bosses anyway. So I think she's going to have some long-term use just from this one debuff alone for the damage cap. I think she's going to be quite good long-term for her supportive skills, and at the time of release, she is the best breaker in the game, and she's going to be quite fun. So in my opinion, I personally prefer Ryza over Klaudia. That is just my opinion. Now, Cloudia is probably going to get more use long term, maybe. I mean, they're both going to get use long term because they're both supports, but Klaudia is more of a support than Ryza is, because she is more of a breaker. She has less supportive skills, but what her supportive skills are just very strong. So I suppose Klaudia is a better support overall, but they're both solid. I personally prefer Ryza. They're probably going to rate kind of similar, honestly. I can't say because I haven't done like proper testing with a full build or anything yet, but I think they're both going to be quite good. None of them are going to be meta, so if you only care about meta, you don't really need any of these units. But if you like these units, you're probably going to be happy with what they've done with these units, because they're both quite nice, and they're not bad like some other units we've had in the past, like the crappy Valentz. It's not going to be like that. So these units do have some, you know, usage, and they can be good in certain teams. So I do like that, and they're not just boring damage dealers. So I do like what they've done with this collab. Overall, pretty nice. If I were to pick which banner to pull on, it's kind of up to you. If you don't have a preference and you're just looking for meta stuff, then probably part 2 will be the better one because of this limited arc. I feel like this limited arc is the best out of everything in this collab. So if you only care about the best stuff and the more meta stuff, then this part 2 is probably what you should be putting on instead of part 1. But you can't really go wrong with either, because part 1 and part 2 are both very good. It's really up to what you have on your accounts, and if you prefer one unit over the other, you know, kind of depends. But if you were literally just starting today, or just had nothing, I would probably consider Part 2 to be the better banner. But before you start pulling, we also have Shift Log Zayas banner going on for another week. Now, if you're watching this when this banner is gone, then ignore this part. But if this banner's still up for you, then make sure you listen to this. This banner is still probably the most important banner if you care about meta. If you care about meta heavily for PvP, then make sure you get this unit, because he is insane for PvP. And if you didn't check the tier list, he's at a 9.8 for Arena, so you can see how crazy he is for Arena. So if you care about Arena, he is definitely a unit you're going to want to have, especially if you have the Xenobus UR arc. That is the perfect arc for him, and it's just very good. He is a meta unit. He is very strong. Even in PvE content, he's pretty good. So he is the meta unit if you want to go for meta. But if the banner's currently not on, or if you don't care about that too much, or if you're thinking, well, he's going to have a rerun in a couple months, and this is a limited collab which may not get a rerun in the future, then it's probably best to pull on the collab, either part 1 and part 2. I would honestly prefer part 2, but it's up to you. So it's kind of down to your preferences of what you care about and what your account already has. So I can't decide for you, but I can at least give you advice on what you should, do based on your, thought process and what your account has. So it's up to you, but this is for meta. Part 1, if you like Ryzelin, the arc's okay. I feel like this part 1 arc is solid, but it's not as necessary. I mean, this has long-term usage because of alchemic talents. The Archive Ward's kind of bad, but yeah, I think part 2 is the best one. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there in regards to the banners, because those are all the banners that are on currently. And there is something else that I want to say before I go. There is going to be a rerun of Fairy King, Arnwise, whatever you call him, the counter unit. He's getting a rerun very soon, because we had the shift form of Ruto. We had him as a rerun recently. So Fairy King is going to get a rerun very soon. So he is another PvP focused unit, if you care about it, that you could save for. It's up to you. But he's coming up as a rerun very soon, which is unfortunate because this collab is currently going on, and we've got a lot of decent banners going on right now with Shiftlog Zayas and a collab, and then the Fairy King rerun coming up soon as well, and then we've got Christmas coming up in like a month or so. So yeah, there is a lot of good banners going on right now, but just focus on the more important ones, or things that you feel like are going to benefit your account the most, and what you care about the most. So it's up to you. I think I'm going to leave it there for today. That's basically everything I wanted to cover with this collab. If you have any questions before I leave, then be sure to let me know. Yeah, that's pretty much everything with this collab. I do like this collab. I think it's a fun collab. I've enjoyed this one. I wish there was a bit more to the event, honestly, but it's been nice. And these units, these arcs, actually pretty solid. So I am pretty happy with this collab overall. I think I wouldn't mind if this were to get a rerun in the future, but honestly, I prefer reruns of other collabs instead, because we need more older collab reruns. We really do. Like Devil May Cry needs to get a rerun, and like ReZero, Dr. Stone, all that kind of stuff needs to get a rerun. But yeah, this is still a pretty fun collab. Even if you're not a fan of this series, you can still get some fun out of this collab. So I do like that, especially about this game. They do a good job with the collabs in this game, and they don't just make it like a cash grab, rush the unit type of situation and make things broken just for the sake of it. Sometimes they do, but they're quite interesting, I have to say. These units are quite unique. Claudia is the least unique one, I have to say, because she does have comparisons. She is very similar to Summon AL, and in a way, Summer Sarah as well. Let me just show you very quickly why I have been saying that. So Summon AL, she is very similar because she's an ice damage dealer, and a sorcerer, and a long range damage dealer, and she's also got the give a magic attack damage minus 35% debuff to all enemies. This is at the start of the battle, and when she is revived. That's why I feel like her magic damage dealt debuff is better than Klaudia, because for Klaudia, you have to use her skills or special to inflict the debuff, and it's only to a specific target enemy. So that is kind of why I prefer Summon AL, because it's at the start of the battle and when revived, so it's kind of easier for PvP to take advantage of this compared to Klaudia, right? And also, Summon AL also has Giga Weak, well, High Weak, same exact spell here, and like Giga Drain and stuff. So technically, Klaudia has better, you know, stat debuffs than Summon AL. I don't know why I had that equipped, no idea. But AL has this anima, so they got kind of their advantages over each other, but they are very similar. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out, because they are quite similar. I can't say one's better than the other one. Like in some situations, I think Nael's can be better in some situations, because for PvP, she's got the restore all allies SCT by 10 seconds. So she's got SCT regen, which is very good for PvP, so yeah. They're still different enough, but they're quite similar. So I'm going to leave it there for today. I definitely have some stuff to do over the next 2 weeks. I'm definitely going to be focusing on building this unit over the next 2 weeks, because that's going to be quite fun. I'm going to be using the event spear, which should be right here, because that's more break. So I'm definitely going to be using that with this crest, and I'm going to be having some fun with this unit with break themes, because I think this could be fun. And as a support, with those supportive scales, is going to be quite nice. So I'm definitely going to be building her over the next 2 weeks, and I'll be back in 2 weeks for whatever's coming next. I think what's going to be next is probably Descent of Heroes units are coming again, maybe one permanent unit in there if we're lucky. Basically, after this collab ends, there's going to be a little bit of a downtime where there's not much happening until Christmas, because Christmas is going to be very exciting. So, if you don't care about this collab too much, highly recommend to wait until Christmas if you care about that, because that is a good time to get the limited Christmas arcs and units if you care about those. I would honestly like to get Saintly Theria. She would be a very nice unit to have for sure, and some of the Christmas arcs are very strong as well. So I'm going to be saving up for Christmas now and building up this unit and just having fun with this. And I know Call of Duty releases tomorrow, so I'm also going to be playing that quite a bit, but I know you don't care about that, I just wanted to mention it anyways. And I will add the timestamps in the next 10-15 minutes. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I want to cover today, about 2.5 hours. It's pretty nice, though it wasn't too bad in the end, I suppose. The summons were still painful, but towards the ends they were at least better. But I really need to start building up some more crystals. One thing to note is this magic button down here. If you haven't done these yet, make sure to do these, because these can give a couple of crystals. It's not much, it's 60 crystals per, you know, battle stage. But it's a couple of crystals. I've been clearing these out slowly because there's a couple of crystals, trying to grind out some crystals, because that's a good idea. But yeah, that's pretty much everything for today. So yeah, hopefully everyone has enjoyed this collab. There's still another 2 weeks or so left, depending on when you're watching this, of this collab. So hopefully you get what you wanted from this collab. There are a few more tickets from the login bonus, by the way, right over here. You can get 1, 2, 3, 4 more part 2 tickets. So ideally you want to wait for day 9 and then use any crystals after day 9, because after day 9 I don't think there's going to be any more collab tickets. So that's going to be the final ticket on day 9. Then after that, it's not going to be any more. So yeah, I'll leave that there, and I'll see everyone in 2 weeks. So thanks for coming, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Have fun with the rest of this collab.